Good morning, fish keepers. Cam here from the fishroom.co.nz. We've done it again. We have made it through to Friday. Woo! Happy Friday, everybody. Let's have coffee. That is absolutely delicious. Might be coffee number 3 today, but I think it actually might be the best one so far. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I'm happy with that. All right, so got a book of stuff to do today. But before I forget, let's bring John on. Good morning.
Hey. Good morning, Cam.
How are you doing? Good, mate. Yourself? You happy?
Yeah, I'm good. Good as.
Yeah.
Nearly the weekend here, so happy days.
It's happy days for Friday today, but it's only Thursday night for you. You've still got a whole sleep to go.
Yeah, and we've got snow again.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not cool.
So it's been a pretty full-on week here, believe it or not. It hasn't felt like it, but it really has been. So I suppose we can run through a few bits and pieces of what's happening. So our Aquarium Frenzy podcast has come out this week. It's the one that we had Master Breeder Dean on with us for. So that's a happy time. However, it took me about 4 days to edit it, unfortunately. Just wouldn't edit no matter what I tried. I couldn't combine introduction with the actual body of the podcast. I could then only do the podcast. I could then only do the introduction. Like just it wouldn't work. Nothing would match. So I've had to remove all the introduction, and it's just basically the body of our live video without a wee cutting and stuff like that. So everyone's still going to get the best of it, but it's just not going to have an intro. So if you listen to it and it goes straight into it, that's exactly why. So I'm sorry for that.
Mm-hmm.
And on other podcasting news, Cameron from the Aquarium Project, myself, and Ryan have released our first podcast that we've done together. So we're doing one of them a week. We're recording, I believe, on a ridiculous time on Wednesday morning, but we're releasing them on a Monday, which is kind of cool. So this one was the topic of best beginner fish. So we kept it nice and simple. We all had varied opinions, as to be expected, and didn't really break out into any sort of fisty fights or anything like that, which was good, but we didn't agree all the way through. So, it was pretty good for a first time round, and we've got a couple more coming up. So that's available on Spotify, and the title of that is 3 Idiots Talk Aquariums, which I think is quite fitting. So, yeah. General gist of it is just to be light, easygoing. We're all pretty relaxed human beings and like to have a bit of fun, but definitely have some decent quality information regarding what's going on in New Zealand with aquarium and stuff like that. So it should be a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you next week to report back, so I'm going to make you listen to it, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, give us some feedback on what you think about that. So
yeah, I will do. Some aquarium aficionados getting together.
Yeah, aficionado. I love that word. Yeah,
it fits.
Yeah. Again, just a bit of fun, just another project, and just should be just a good time overall. So it's good. Obviously, today is Friday, and so we're back in the swing of a frozen food Friday. So today I did Ocean Nutrition frozen cyclops. Have you fed frozen cyclops before, John?
Yeah, we get that over here.
First time for me, and I am absolutely over the moon with it. I don't want to spoil it, so people need to jump on YouTube and watch it. But I was over the moon with how good it was. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I think it defrosts really well.
Yes,
and it spreads.
Yep.
It just
yes, yeah. Yeah, I don't know about the brands and the stuff that you guys have over there, but so this was the Ocean Nutrition. It didn't seem like there was nearly any water weight added to it, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Like, the trays are 100 grams. You're literally getting 100 grams of food. And I liked how small they were. Like, it just worked incredibly well.
Yeah. They should drop them into a guppy tank.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And the whole tank just goes into a frenzy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more than happy. It's it may have knocked off my favourite white mosquito larvae from the from the top as far as frozen foods go. So I'm over the moon, absolutely wrapped with it. I think it's brilliant. I wish I'd discovered earlier.
It's good. It's got good nutrition in it as well. You go into that in your video, don't you?
Yeah. No, it's just wrapped. So if you want to have a bit of a watch of that, again, it's on YouTube. We'll probably share it onto Facebook this afternoon or something like that. But I'm over the moon with it. It's well and truly worth watching. And if you haven't fed it before, give it a nudge. Your fish will absolutely love it.
I second that.
Had some fish be released from out the back this week. Histogram agassizi. I haven't finished putting them on the website yet. I've just got to put a skew on and we're good to go to have them on. Profiles are ready to rock and roll, but they're all in the shop. They're really nice looking fish, males and females if you are interested in that side of it. But they're beautiful looking fish, so I'm really happy with that. They've been rock solid coming through the in-house quarantine side of it, so that's good as well. So I'm happy with that. And we finally got some Bolivian rams in this week as well. We've been struggling to get them. Every time they've been on the supply list, by the time I've ordered them, they've gone away again. So we've got some Bolivian rams that came in, some ember tetras, and some green fire tetras, which are awesome fish as well. So they'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks, amongst a few other things that are filtering the way from out the back and into the shop. So yeah, some new fish coming up if that's what you're inclined to want to buy.
Who isn't?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the fun side of the hobby, buying new fish.
Yeah.
Also, you may or may not have noticed that I am pushing pretty hard on Tiptop at the moment as well. I feel like I've given my soul to the devil by getting on that, but that's okay. Like I said a little while ago, this year is the year for us to move, and that includes on all social media platforms, including TikTok. So if you are on there, the Fish Room NZ, which is pretty much our handle on everything, jump on, give us a sub, watch some videos. Same with the old Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. So like I said, this is a moving year for us, so I'm going to really push pretty hard on some things like that. Going to try and vary all the content from one place to another. There will absolutely be some crossover, but you're going to try and vary it so you're not all getting the same stuff on every platform. So
yeah. Also, let us know what kind of stuff you want to see on each platform.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, yeah, we've got a pretty well set schedule for when it comes to YouTube with what's going on. Instagram, we're a little bit up in the clouds with. It's not really something I personally use, and it's not really something that I've spent a lot of time on. So our Instagram's a little bit weaker when it comes to that. Also, in my mind, Instagram's photos and fish is so incredibly hard to take photos of, as I'm sure pretty much everybody is aware of, which makes it a little bit harder to do. I think we've got our Facebook going quite nicely as well and stuff like that. So, yeah, but definitely if there's things you want us to do videos of, take photos of, information on, I'm more than happy to do it. Whether it's audio via forms of podcasts, whether it's short form videos, whether it's written blogs, any suggestions, we'll see what we can cater for everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
And so speaking of our pretty much solid lineup on YouTube, we've got that under control. Next week's guest is Chris Luca. So I'm sure many people will know who he is, but if you don't, he is well and truly immersed in the shrimp culture. Also does a lot of underwater photography and involved a lot in the plant culture as well. So that'll be a really good time. I'm sure there is plenty of people that know of Chris, but yeah, I'm quite looking forward to next week's Finatics coffee date when he comes on board with us.
Yeah, that'll be really quick. An interesting chat. Some of the work he's done with its underwater photography is amazing.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the it's not just shrimp. I've noticed recently he's doing a lot of like danios and unusual fish that you don't see that often.
Neat, cool. Yeah, nano species seems to be right up his alley as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a bit unfortunate we don't get shrimp here because there's so much information in his head. But even though we don't get the shrimp here, I'm sure there's plenty of people that want to know about it and learn about it and have some information on them. So we'll see how we go with that.
Yeah, he does a lot of crayfish stuff as well. I know you guys. I've got some crayfish over there, but yeah, it's just interesting to see something different, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I'm assuming that this is Cam from the Aquarium Project, and you agree. Instagram in New Zealand is pretty hard to get traction with, particularly on a really small niche like aquariums. It's a little bit different if you're taking lovely photos of the beach and your food all day long, but a little bit different to get traction here in New Zealand on aquarium related stuff. But I guess it depends on what you want to use the platform for and what you're trying to achieve from it, I suppose.
Yeah. For a while, it was all to do with the videos. They were focusing on that, but it seems to be moving back to images again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't kept Cora. I've never kept any New Zealand native species of any description. One day I'll find a chiller that's within my price range, and then I'll give it a go. But until I'm happy to pay for a chiller at a decent price, and I probably won't be keeping any natives anytime soon.
Not even as a winter project.
What's that, sorry?
What about just having it as a winter project? Is that still too challenging?
I think it would probably be okay, but I wouldn't know where to put it in the shop because out in the hatchery, all the room is quite warm because of all the heaters. So they push the temperature up for them. The shop's the same, and the tanks with everything else. So it just makes it a little bit difficult to try and make that work. So it need to be on a chiller system.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So over the course of the last couple of weeks, I've been getting really frustrated at our plants that we've been selling. It's just ended up in a mess. So I was going to remove all of our potted plants and turn that into a dwarf Tanganyikaan cichlid tank for sale from. And then I was going to put a decent substrate into our stem plants and continue to sell stems, but have them planted so they're developing a little bit of roots before they go. But very quickly dawned on me that's not going to work overly well either. So we've actually scrapped all of the stem plants out of the shop, and we're going to focus primarily on potted plants.
Right.
And then so that stem plant tank is going to be a dwarf Tanganyikaan tank. So there's a couple of reasons behind that. First of all, generally speaking, I believe that potted plants come in as a far stronger, a far healthier, and a far better purchase than what the stem plants do. 9 times out of 10, they come with a good root base, what you're looking for. So I think that's not yet. Still going to sell the potted stems. So the stem plants are still going to be available. But I think it's just a better option doing it that way. Myself. What's that, sorry?
When you sell your potted plants, do they come in the root moss?
Yes. Yeah. So they just come in the rock wool, plastic pot, rock wool, and the stem. So I think they come in a better option. Also, as a business trying to move forward on the plants that we're providing, the potted plants have always been a better option in my mind. Things like crypts become more stable when they're growing, and swords and stuff like that. So that's why we wanted to get into that way. I'm still trying to work out a way of eliminating the plastic plant pots and the rock wool. I know that they work really well, but it's just that just trying to eliminate more plastic waste, and rock wool's very much a one and done type of scenario. Yeah. I have toyed around with those Jiffy peat pots or the peat pots that you fill up and then put your plants into. So they grow really well. They do what they need to do, but they don't travel well. So that's the problem that I've got there. So originally I thought we'll just use my coffee cup as an example. So here's your peat pot. You fill it in with some sort of a substrate that you're going to grow from, and then away you go. And so then my idea was the purchaser gets that. All they've got to do is sort of open up their substrate, put it in, and bury it in. So that is also providing nutrients for the plants when they're growing. So they don't have to be shocked to be taken out of the cups into different conditions. They're straight in that same substrate, and then as that peat dissolves in the substrate over time, the plants are using that as nutrients on the growth through as well. Because like crips absolutely love peat. Swords go really well with it as well. So that was where I was trying to work, but I can't get them to travel. Basically, that's my issue at the moment, is trying to make them travel. Sphagnum moss. Never really considered that. I'm assuming that's okay for aquatic animals because they use it in things like amphibians and stuff like that. So I can assume. Yeah, I will look into spag moss. That's something I can consider as a media to grow from. Cool, good thinking, good option. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Yeah, we'll still be selling stems, but they'll come in pots. So obviously, unfortunately, that means they're going to cost a little bit more. But I think in the long run, they're a better product. And again, with the way that we want to go with the plants that we're selling, at the moment, you buy a pot of plants and it's sort of 3 stems. When we're beginning to produce them on a good quantity level, we wanted to increase that pot to sort of 5 or 6 stems each time. So although you're paying more, you're getting a better product, and you're also in the long run getting more plants anyway. So that's how that I'm trying to work through that at the moment. So that's where we're at. So that's basically taking effect as of this week. So yeah, sorry, as of next week.
Yeah.
And Cam asked a question regarding what tangs we're going to be doing. Mainly just dwarfs, the loopy, Julidochromis, Otolabragus, that type of stuff. Not really interested in doing Malawis of any description, possibly do some Shelleys, that kind of thing. Things that kind of continue to fit within our ethos or our ballpark of a smaller aquarium, not big tank busters, not psychopaths or anything like that. It's I know that's quite weird saying that because a lot of African cichlids are psychopaths. But yeah, just to sort of fill into that gap where we kind of already are kind of heading where we're going. So yeah, we've got a few on hand at the moment, just a few species, and we'll just move along from there. Potentially, we will produce our own Tanganyiikans. I know the likes of Ryan is doing a really good job with them, so it might be better just and easier just to purchase them off him on a regular basis and move them on, as opposed to dedicating some tanks to spawn from them. But as many of you know, African cichlids are where I started in this hobby, and they are definitely my first love. So to have a few Tanganyikan tanks hanging around with spawning colonies and stuff like that will tickle my interest and keep me really interested in it as well. So that one could go either way at the moment. So we'll see how we go. Continue.
Yeah, how's things coming along with the big tank that's going to go behind you?
Oh, good thing you brought that up. So there's been a lot of movement going on with that.
Oh, good.
None of it on that tank whatsoever.
Well.
I looked at it twice this week, so I'm going to do something, but I still haven't. So there has been some movement, because I'm not sure if I've told you, there's a few other things happening in this space involving large aquariums and moving things around. So it's a little bit of a case of Jenga at the moment, and I've got to wait for this to happen, for this to happen, for this to happen, this to happen. So that's all kind of ticking along. First stage was done. Hopefully this weekend or early next week, stage 2 will begin, and then there's probably less than a couple more, but then we can go from there. So, but I really do need to get going and rip the rest of that silicon off, clean it up, and seal it up, because I'll be running out of time otherwise. But yeah, there's a few moving parts that's going to be happening in this room. It'll make it ridiculously warm in here for doing live streams and stuff like that. So it already gets really hot, but I'll need to figure something out with that. But yeah, we're going. Hopefully by the end of the next week, we'll have some frontosa in the building, which will be what I'm planning on working from for that tank. So yeah, it's still progressing. Just the tank itself hasn't progressed at all just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's not getting given up, because I'm desperate to see this all coming back.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It's just just trying to make sure everything falls into place at the right times. So,
yeah, totally get it.
So the better tank, the better racks in the shop, they've all got filters on them now, so they're all running except for 2, which I haven't put any water in yet. So if I get a chance today, I will finish scaping them a little bit, putting some substrate in there and some rocks and wood and stuff like that, and then get the filters going. So 2 of them are already cycled. 2 of them are actually part cycled, and it's the other 2 that are having to be, other 4, sorry, that are getting their cycle. So that's all moving. And I got some lights this week to try on them. So I got the Aqua One Sunlight 90 centimeter LEDs. First impressions, I wasn't overly impressed. Aesthetically, I think they're quite ugly, but the light that they put out is really nice. So it's a bit of a catch-22. They've got a really high leg on them, so they sit really, really high over the aquarium. And the light bar itself is essentially just a light bar with a button, so they feel quite flimsy.
Is this the one that's got 2 bulbs?
No, these are LEDs.
Ah, right, okay.
The old Aqua One big boy lights, the T8s, they were brilliant. I absolutely loved them.
Oh, yeah, they were good.
Yeah, I've still got a few of them up over there. I think they work really well, and they just felt really well made. But these almost just feel like, I don't know, like cheap AliExpress lights. But the light itself looks really, really good. But the aesthetics of it,
yeah, the shell,
yeah, I just don't like that much. But they fit perfectly above the better tanks, like between the top of the tank and the next shelf. So they fit perfectly there, which is great. They're the perfect length, and the light's really good. So I think I'm gonna stick with them. I just a bit disappointed in the aesthetics of them. So yeah, and at $200, yeah, I just don't know if they're.
Can you attach them to the underside of the shelf above so that you're not really seeing it?
Yeah, that's what Cam pretty much said. Possibly. I'm always a bit dubious about heat sinks with LEDs and stuff like that. And if it's right on top, there's no airflow over it to keep them cool and stuff like that. Although they're pretty small, so it might not matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, the legs are just really, really high. They just seems weird.
What about using an old, like the I think I can't remember the name of it. The clips you would put in your aquarium lid years ago when you used T5s and T8s.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, you put it in, you pop it in, something like that. Yeah. So that'll create a bit of space as well.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah. I guess for some reason I was expecting like
something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've got a couple out the back on some other lights.
Yeah.
Have you ever used the fluval LEDs?
I had one when I had my reef tank. It was a fluval C, and it died on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I went back to my Interpet one.
Yeah. For some reason, I was half expecting that sort of a design from these Aqua One ones.
Right.
Maybe not of the same sort of build quality, because fluval to Aqua One are clearly 2 different price points. But I think I was expecting the legs to be of a similar to what they were.
Yeah.
And not as high, and maybe just a slightly better light bar itself. But yeah. So here we go. Hey, I've just realised that I haven't plugged my laptop in, and it's about to die. It's the one thing I didn't prepare before I walked in the door.
Good boy, yeah.
Give me about 30 seconds if you want to just hold the fort.
Yeah, not a problem. So, it'll be really interesting to see once Cam gets all these beta tanks set up. And also, betas are addictive. So if you've got one, tends to lead to another and another. So whilst we're waiting on Cam getting his set up in place, it'd be really cool if we could start seeing some you guys sharing some pictures of your beta setups, especially if you've got maybe a better rack on the go. Just sharing it on the shop page, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Has anybody got any that you just want to talk about just now, or just a message in the chat and we'll have a look?
Cool. All right, back in and away we go. Right, Rochelle, what do we got here?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry.
You do it. Hands off.
That just kind of backs up what I was talking about. From one better, if you've got one, it leads to another and another and another. It's quite a common occurrence. But yeah, we'll go on to this one. Here we go.
Francis it's reached the top and it's growing okay, but every now and then the leaves curl dark and die at the top. Are the leaves getting out of the water when they're doing that, or are they still in the water? And what stem plants, I'm assuming stems, what stems are we talking about here? My first couple of questions. Cool. So we can continue on with what's rocking and rolling. The first display tank in the shop was completed yesterday, all but the last fish choice that I haven't quite decided with yet. So it's the Blackwater tank. So the tank was in the middle of the rest of the setup. So that was all completed. I've had a filter all cycled, ready to rock and roll for several months now. So that's good. I'll do a wee video of it later this afternoon. So it's a very, very deep, dark water, golden color aquarium, which I'm really stoked with how it's turned out. There's lots of chemicals, lots of leaves, lots of wood, and a lot of different sort of textures in it as well, which is nice. I've used what is probably one of my favorite combinations of substrates. So it's a mix of Seeking Fluorite, JBL Monado, and just a general, almost like a river gravel. So the way that they all work together just gives so much different texture. They all stay a nice dark color with some lighter sort of clay colors through them. Like I just think, as far as a substrate goes for Blackwater aquariums in particular, I think it's really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy with that. The fish we've gone with are dwarf chain loaches. So there's 6 or 7 of them in there. They're active and they are awesome. I've put some pearl danios in there as well. They're only small at the moment, not about that big. There's about 8 or 9 in there. So as they get bigger, I'll begin weeding out some of the males because the tank's only 150 litres, so it's far too small for that many. But I wanted to put a small group in there to start with and then sort of see how they developed and knock out, not so much knock out, but remove a couple of the smaller ones, remove a couple of males so I get a nice group of probably 3, maybe 4, one male and 2 or 3 females to go on with it. But then the next species of fish I think I worked out, so we've got the top under control, we've got the bottom under control, it's the middle section. So I'm throwing towards cherry barbs or some sort of Raspora. I'm not going with Danios because most Danio species come from clear water, and this isn't clear water. So stop suggesting Danios, Cam. It's just not happening. As much as I can absolutely see the merit in them because they are cool fish, it's just not fitting for things with this. So, yeah, I've had Raspora and Blackwater tanks before, and they work really, really well. They're absolutely stunning. So Raspora is definitely on the list. Mm-hmm. And then we've got the cherry barbs to go with. Did I say Danios? I don't know. Did I? If I said Danios, I didn't mean to as a Freudian slip because I'm still having bad dreams of you telling me that I should put Danios in the tank. I'm just not going to do it. Yeah, so cherry barbs or Raspora are on the short list at the moment. So I quite like the purple Raspora. I think they're a beautiful fish.
Yeah. I was kind of at a shop a couple of days ago and I was staring at a tank with green Rasporas.
Yeah.
They were quite nice.
Yeah, we can't get them over here, unfortunately. Yeah. Emerald Eye is another one that might possibly go onto the list of potentials. But I'm a little worried that the Pearl Danios might get a bit big and snack on them.
Do you guys do tiger barbs?
Tiger barbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that kind of boisterousness in there, and I'm not sure how well they would work with the trailing finnage of the Pearl Danios.
Right enough, I'm forgetting them.
Yeah. Yes, Emerald Eye Raspora is potentially. Am I saying Danios?
Yeah, I heard that one.
I mean, okay, Pearl gouramis. Man, that is really my
First thing you
fun.
say,
Yeah, pearl gouramis, dwarf chain loaches, and then I'm trying to find something in the middle, either cherry barbs or raspberries. So I'm glad Cam is picking me up on everything. It's been a long week, and clearly 3 coffees isn't quite enough.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to stop talking about anything that's pearl. Spotted raspberry is another thing I thought of, but I think, again, the pearl gouramis.
Yay!
The pearl gouramis might eat them as well. So possibly needs to be a slightly bigger raspberry if I go down the raspberry route. So,
What about going for a smaller gourami? Sparkling gouramis? Licorice gouramis? Chocolate?
yeah, I like them. They didn't really cross my mind. I think I'm really trying to fill that middle section with a bit of color and a bit of action.
Right.
Yeah, I've never kept pearl gouramis myself, so I'm really interested to see how they work in this sort of environment. I've
They
kept
look really nice.
Yeah, I've kept chocolates and sparklings myself in my own sort of tanks and stuff like that. I did really enjoy them, but I'm just trying to branch out to fish that I haven't really kept too much of. So that's why I went with the pearl gouramis. And I've absolutely fallen in love with them when I've had them in the shop recently. I think they're a really neat fish. So, yeah.
Oh, they definitely are.
Yeah, so it's just trying to find something in the middle to sort of fit and work. So we'll see how we go with them. So I'm going to stop talking about them because Cam makes me feel inadequate because I keep saying the wrong words. So in line with the fact that we've just finished setting up a Blackwater tank in the shop, I thought we could talk about various different botanicals that we've got available, what we've got available in New Zealand, and that sort of stuff. So if you don't know what botanicals are, basically things like leaves and wood and older cones and all that sort of stuff. It's I suppose, Blackwater aquariums. It's a subset of ways to keep aquariums. We talk like dwarf Tanganyiikans and like heavily planted aquascape tanks and Malawi cichlid community tanks. So Blackwater aquariums are just another sort of element, or another sort of side of aquariums that you can keep, and it's one that I'm really interested in. That's kind of where my interest and my love at the moment really is sort of trying to build full ecosystems of where fish have sort of would naturally be found and what makes them comfortable in their environment. So
and also it's a good type of aquarium if you don't want to go down that ultra pruned aquascape and still have a wide variety of creativity available to you. Because you are still creating something very specific, but it's the capacity to have it messy looking or slightly dirty works, and it adds to the character depending on the type of setup that you're actually going for.
Yeah. I also like the fact that you can let a little bit of algae develop and it's not unsightly. It kind of just again makes that natural environment. Whereas sometimes when you have a crystal clear tank, if you have a spot of algae, you lose your mind. It's just looks horrible or whatever it is you want to say. Although I don't think all algae is horrible. I think in some places algae works really well.
Definitely.
But yeah, so earlier this week we got some new botanicals in. We got some new leaves in, which was great. So to my understanding, most of the stuff hasn't been here in New Zealand before, at least not in a packaged commercial sense. So we got some jackfruit leaves, which look quite nice. They're a nice shape.
They don't actually, when it comes to breaking down, they last a lot longer than catappa leaves.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do they keep that sort of firm look when they get underwater?
Yeah, they do.
Cool.
And eventually they will go, because you get the microorganisms that start living within them. And smaller fish will pick them off, like micro predators and stuff. And they will eventually leave a skeleton.
I like the look and the shape of these and the size. I thought they were pretty good. I don't think they'd work in like a nano type scenario. But the tanks I'm playing with around 150 litres, I think they'd look pretty good to size for that.
Mm-hmm.
Got some mahogany in, which is a lot smaller. I thought these would work pretty well in a nano type situation because they're a lot smaller. They're a lot darker. And they look a little bit shiny, if that makes sense. Not super shiny, but a little bit shiny.
Mm.
Yeah.
Different textures, that's nice.
Yeah. And apparently I've written down 10 pack, but there's 20 in here. So a pack of 20, which is kind of helpful. So yeah, I thought the size of these would work pretty well for any sort of a nano type scenario. It would actually probably work quite well with older cones, which we have had for a while. I've used older cones. They actually produce quite a lot of tannins, and they produce a really nice tint, I personally believe, and they take a very, very long time to break down. I'm quite a fan of the olders, and I think they work really well for scale in lots of situations as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger tanks, smaller tanks, they can make things look bigger because they're small. Bigger tanks, they can make things look bigger because they're small, or put some smaller pieces in that work really well together. So, I'm a fan of older cones.
Yeah. You can also boil them prior to putting them in the tank, and that takes away some of the tannin inside it. So it doesn't need to be as potent.
Yeah.
If you're not looking for a total blackout.
Yeah. We're retailing these, all the leaves, $20 for either packs of 10 or packs of 20, depending on which they are. I didn't realise that the mahoganies were 20 packs, and I've also just seen that the soursop's are 20 packs as well, which I wasn't aware of. So I've got them labelled as 10 packs, but yeah, they're 20s. Again, these are probably what I consider a medium leaf. They're not super big. I think they could probably be used quite well in both a nano or a mid-sized aquarium because they are just a nice, good-sized leaf.
I tell you what, they would go really well with the epistogramma that you've got at the moment.
They probably would, yeah. What else have we got here? Got mango leaves. They're a 10 pack. They're quite a lot bigger. Nice. I wouldn't be using these in a nano type situation. I quite like the texture that's on the leaf themselves. They're quite well ridged, both front and back, which I'm sure you probably can't see properly.
You can't.
I think they'd work quite well in a mid to large size tank. They're quite long, which is nice as well, and like a little wavy, so give a bit of extra texture going on. And then we also got bamboo leaves. These are clearly quite big and long. I haven't used bamboo leaves myself. I've used banana leaves, which are pretty similar, at least in shape and look, but I haven't used bamboo leaves.
Banana leaves here.
I found the banana leaves break down pretty quickly, and I just have a feeling that the bamboo might be the same because it's quite a thin structured leaf.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because they're quite long, they would work pretty well in tanks with a lot of spiderwood, I reckon. Just to continue on that sort of process. But yeah, so we've got the bamboo leaves. And then everyone's favourite catappa leaves. So that's probably just what I consider a medium-sized catappa. So yeah. They all came in this week, which is kind of neat, except for the older cones, which we've had for a while. But yeah. What else have you got over your way?
Well, we've got catappa leaves as well. These are nano ones.
Yeah.
So they are smaller and they seem to be rounder as well, which is slightly different from the longer shape. Coconut shells, which is good if you're breeding dwarf cichlids.
Yeah.
You can really handy. They last forever almost. We've got these. These are quite cool. These are Talambu pods. Different sizes of them. And they, I don't know if you can see, the texture inside them is pretty cool. I think you need to boil these before putting them anywhere near because they're very light, so I'd imagine they'll float.
Yeah.
But they're really cool. I've never used these in anything I've got yet, but I plan on it. What else do we have? We've got the catappa bark, which is quite cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that's quite a...
I know the supplier that's brought in all these leaves are looking at getting different shells and cones and barks and bits and pieces at the moment. So I'm fingers crossed they managed to get that over the line, and MPI say, and there's no dramas, so we can get a bit more of a range of botanicals.
It's good. I mean, the more different ones coming in, the bigger variety, different shapes, textures, colours, everything. And when you're looking for that type of aquarium, having all the different shapes and things in there is great. It just creates a different element. These are lotus pods. I don't know if you can see them. You see these in a lot of bouquet of flowers and stuff. Can't really see properly, but
I was trying to chase them down a little while ago from some flowers, but they didn't have any, unfortunately.
They go really strange when they start to break down. They go soft and spongy. Really bizarre. What else have we got? We've got jackfruit leaves. There's a couple other ones. But yeah, we've got these are something I've just recently brought into the UK as well. They're catappa leaves, but they're broken up into like chips. So again, it's just a different texture. Same product, but ultimately these are the ones that never made the cut for the for them. They're just the same thing, but just
cool. G'day Yuri, how are you, mate? Hope everything's going well. I've been absolutely enjoying watching your rebuild of your factory and your plecos that you're putting out. It's been a phenomenal watching that be rebuilt. So good work from you. Well done.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Is MPI getting a little bit more relaxed? No, they're not getting any more relaxed. It's just there is a supplier or two that are trying to bring in different things. They're digging a little bit deeper when it comes to what we're allowed to get. They're paying for the permits to get them in. They're really trying to do good for the hobby, and by bringing in things like leaves and other botanicals, it's doing that. So they're basically putting their money on the line to try and get these products in for us. So as far as I'm concerned, they're doing really good things, and I'm happy to support that. And even if they cost a little bit more because they've had to put this investment in to get it done, I think it's great for the hobby and it's great for the industry. So I'm really willing to do that for the people that are trying to do things like that. So just one of the suppliers are digging a bit deeper and trying a bit harder than some of the other ones. So they've all got the ability there. They've never not been allowed to bring them in. They've just decided not to. But this guy is doing really good things at the moment. So happy days.
Is this the guy that I spoke to a while back? Same guy?
I think so.
Right.
I think so. It might be the other one. I know you've had a couple conversations. I think you've had a couple conversations with some of the importers.
Yeah, not the one that you arranged the conversation with.
Yeah. So he's bringing in some pretty cool stuff at the moment, and really trying hard to push the industry into 1999, which would be nice if we could get to 99 and not be stuck in the 80s, but that's okay. So yeah. Something else that we've got is macadamia nuts.
Oh yeah,
I was just playing around with these the other day. I actually got them for barbecuing, so they produce a really nice nutty smoke for smoking meats and things like that. And I thought, I wonder if these could be used. So they're just basically half shells. Some of them come with a little macadamia in them still. So I threw some into a glass jar just to see tannins and stuff like that. They don't release a heck of a lot of tannins, but a little bit, but not a heck of a lot. And then so I threw some in with some guppies, and there was no issues whatsoever there. So that was a good start. And then I chucked some into the shop sales tank, and there's no issues with any of the fish in there as well. So I am 99% sure that these are 100% fish safe. They don't break down very quickly. I've had them in water for 5 months now, and it doesn't even look like they've had any any change in them, which is nice. So we sell these. I think we sell them as 100 grams. Can't quite remember off the top of my head. But I think they, as opposed to having sort of one scattered about, I think they work really well if you just sort of get a whole pile of them and kind of just dump them somewhere.
Yeah.
Much like a snail shell bed in Tanganyikaan sort of thing. So there's sort of a pile of them built up, sift a little bit of sand over them so they kind of look like they're blended in. Maybe put a leaf or something around that kind of area as well. And just sort of make them look like they're natural. Just gives it a little bit of extra texture as opposed to just having leaves and wood everywhere. It just changed a little bit. And like we don't have any shell.
You could use them to hold down new leaves as well. To put some leaves down and put them on top. And that would help leaves down.
Yep, that'll work well. Yeah. And then obviously when it comes to Blackwater, lots of wood. So this is just a piece. I just grabbed this one off the shelf. I actually didn't realize how cool it was on the inside. So that'll work pretty well for lots of catfish, lots of other things that kind of like dig into stuff. Loaches would go pretty well, but yeah, I just grabbed it off the shelf and didn't realize it was such a cool wee piece there. So plenty of wood works in Blackwater tanks. It continues to leach out all the good stuff, and it just looks good. So anything from standard driftwood, bogwood, spiderwood, which is getting really hard to get hold of. So if you've got spiderwood or you can find anyone selling it, grab it while you can. And then some of the Thai driftwood as well, which I'm not a massive fan of, but that works pretty well in Blackwater as well. So from my understanding, and I might be totally wrong, the exporter of the spiderwood has gone out of business. And so there's no one able to bring any in. The biggest exporter of that is no one able to bring any in here at the moment, or potentially around the world. I'm not sure about around the world, but yeah, definitely might be a bit of a struggle. So if you can get some spiderwood anywhere at the moment, grab onto them and hold on to them, because there might not be any coming in for a little bit of time.
So is that just like regular root?
Yeah, just your standard spiderwood. The stuff that has like a little root and then it kind of twists and tangles. So we used to have Mapani wood here as well, which doesn't seem to be being bought in anymore, which is really disappointing. I liked Mapani. I know a lot of people hated it, but I liked it. I liked the two color tones. I thought worked pretty well, and most of the pieces I always got my hands on seemed to be quite intricate and had a bit of character. It was nothing like just a piece of wood, if that makes sense. So I like the Mapani, but it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. So fire away, Judy. If you've got a question, feel free to ask it, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I'm not sure if the keyholes would pick them up and move them around, but I can potentially see them doing that. Kind of like a shelly picking up a shell and carrying it around. I think some of the collected stuff in New Zealand is pretty cool. Some of it's quite hideous, but there is some nice stuff around that you can find. The stuff that I don't like from the New Zealand stuff is the real chunky stuff that's got no sort of character. It's just like a piece of smooth wood. That's the stuff I don't really like. But the stuff that's got a bit of character, which can take a bit more finding, I think there's some great driftwood available. And a lot of the stuff that I've found, a lot of the stuff I've got in the tanks at the back have all been collected for the best part of it. Do you have to flush your tanks out more when using Rapashi? By flushing them out, do you mean doing more water changes? I haven't really noticed that I've had to increase my water changes when using Rapashi. It definitely can be a little bit messy compared to some other foods, but I haven't noticed that I've had to do any more extra maintenance on it when using it. So, if that was your question, I personally haven't noticed that myself. And can eucalyptus be used? Yeah, so from my understanding, the eucalyptus leaves are a no-go, but the eucalyptus pods are okay, from memory. So I did collect some eucalyptus pods 6 months or so ago, soaked them in some water. They released a lot of tannins, really, really dark, and a significantly large amount of it. And then I put some in with I've got some in the tank at the moment, but I haven't put any fish in it yet. So I do know there's a place in Australia called, I think it's just called Blackwater Aquariums, and they sell eucalyptus pods on their website, safe for aquarium use. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they are okay to use, the pods, but the leaves, that's where there's some poisonous sappy stuff, and I believe the bark might be the same. But yeah, the eucalyptus pods, from my understanding, and I believe they are good to go. I haven't put any fish into this tank yet, but I will let you know if anything kills over once I have. But I'm pretty sure they should be okay. So yeah. And I suppose the other option, of course, is if you're wanting to get the tint without having all the cool stuff in it, you can buy Blackwater additives.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't used this one yet. Still completely full, but I'll get round to it. But this stuff, the Sierra stuff I have used, I'm uncertain if this is coming in anymore, or at least, I don't know why I'm opening it, or at least if this size is coming in anymore. I was okay with this. I think I prefer to have the botanicals in the tank to give me that golden glow.
Yeah.
I thought it turned the water black, like black to start with. And then about a day and a half, 2 days later, it turned out a really nice golden color. And then a few days after that, it kind of just dispersed and didn't quite have the color that I wanted it to hold. So I think, like, if you're using it with a weekly water change, it's probably okay. But if you're wanting to use it and sort of leave a ecosystem running for a few weeks before you're doing water changes, it's probably not going to do what you need it to do. It is, however, a really good option if you're thinking about getting into Blackwater tanks and trying to work out whether or not you like the coloration. Put a few drops in, get an idea of whether the color is going to suit you, suit your fish, that sort of stuff, and then you can build into it a bit more, because obviously if you're putting too many botanicals in, it's going to drop your pH and that sort of stuff as well, which needs to be mindful of. But this could give you an idea of whether or not the color is going to suit you and whether you want that color in your aquarium or not to start with, basically. So yeah, it's definitely got its advantages, but yeah, not super sold on those additives personally myself.
Not when there's that much out there now that can offer the same thing.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy enough to get hold of. I mean, like a box of older cones, about the same price. They last for ages and they give you that tint. And if you don't like it, you can take them out and away you go. Or you can collect your own older cones or what have you. So there's always that option as well. You don't have to buy botanicals. There's plenty of trees that you can get stuff off. From my understanding, I don't want to talk too much out of line. It's probably not the right words, but majority of trees and plants and stuff you can get leaves off and wood off and bark off are good to go in your tank. Majority. Not all, definitely not all, as we were talking about the eucalyptus. But yeah, majority of them are good to go. So,
yeah, as long as the leaves have already fallen off.
Yep.
Can't go just pulling them off, because then that's not going to work.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful, of course, if you're collecting stuff that might be sprayed as well. That's a massive consideration.
Yeah, I always say just avoid picking anything close to roads.
Yeah.
Because you get pollution or away from factories as well.
Yeah. Very, very close to where I am is a very busy intersection, but it's got lots and lots of oak trees. And they fall almost this time of the year, and they just bags and bags and bags. But it's just catch-22, hit and miss if it's going to bring pollutants or not. So yeah,
I know.
Kill rhododendrons are a no-go.
Well, birch leaves are good.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a lot really small, and they don't give off too much tannin either.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of natives. The manuka tree goes pretty well as well.
Oh yeah,
some bits of stuff off that. What else did I collect? Palm fronds work really well.
Mm-hmm.
They look really good in bigger tanks because the way they sort of fan out, they go well.
Oak leaves, some oak leaves.
Oaks. There's plenty of maples around. There's all sorts you can. Yeah, Punga should work pretty well. Might be soft, so it might break down pretty quickly, but it's not the end of the world. I was collecting off Flax Push, the little pods that came off it. So apparently they can produce cyanide. But for some fish, from my understanding, when that's sort of mixed with the water, it doesn't actually affect the fish. So I've collected it, but I've still been on the do I give this a go type of scenario. But that's another one that you could have a wee play around with if you're willing to do a few experiments with. I think they look pretty neat in there. So there's all sorts of lots. I probably would avoid citrus.
Yeah, definitely.
Citrus leaves don't seem to be a smart idea, but yeah, there's all sorts of botanicals you can find. You don't have to buy them. Yeah, there's all sorts.
Yeah, the trick is when you find somewhere, don't tell anybody and just keep going back to it.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could just share the love with everybody.
Yeah.
I dare say that people that are interested in Blackwater aquariums in one particular region, one tree should be enough to provide it for everybody.
Yeah, I know.
I have been looking for, and I've yet to find one properly yet. I actually not sure. I did find one for sale on Trade Me, a catappa tree. If I could buy a tree and plant it in my backyard, I would be set forever.
Oh, you would? Absolutely.
I'm not sure if the climate in Nelson would be suitable for growing them. So yeah.
I know.
I also went down the route of looking for exotic fruit trees, various leaves, shells and pods and stuff like that. So, but again, I'm not sure if the Nelson environment's going to work well enough to grow these things, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. The options are endless, really.
Yeah.
If you're going down the Biotopia route, part of the process of that is to research. And that opens up Pandora's box when it comes to botanicals. You start to see what you should be putting in, what alternatives you can put in instead, and things that you would never really think of as well. So it is an interesting side of the hobby for sure.
Yeah. The only other sort of caveat I'd say when it comes to collecting wood is, personally, I don't like to collect wood from freshwater rivers or streams. I'd much prefer to collect it from saltwater. Theory being, to my understanding, vast majority, if not all, freshwater pathogens and issues can't be transferred to saltwater and saltwater to freshwater and vice versa. So if you're collecting something from the seawater, it's very unlikely that's going to cause any issues going into your freshwater tank. But if you're collecting something from a freshwater river going into your freshwater tank, there is a higher chance of something being passed on. So that's just my understanding. So that would be why I prefer not to collect stuff from, at least wood from riverways. I prefer to get it from the sea. Yeah, just give it a quick rinse off any dirt, any sort of residue salt. Soak it in a bucket or something for a little while. If you're worried, tip it out a couple of times and put it in. But for the best part, anytime I've collected from the sea, just give it a quick rinse and put it in. I've never had an issue.
I've never ever thought about it that way.
Yeah. It's just my thoughts, and I guess it makes logical sense.
It does.
Yeah. Well, that's all I've got on my book, and that's all I've got as far as our topic goes for the day. Have you got anything else you want to add to that?
I think it would be really interesting to see if anybody does have Blackwater tanks on the go to start sending pictures into the Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. Also, the Fish Room have a Blackwater Facebook page by themselves. Blackwater New Zealand is the Facebook page that the Fish Room run when it comes to Blackwater aquariums. So if you're not there and you are interested in Blackwater stuff, jump on there. Ask to join. We'll get you on there. But yeah, I'm a massive fan of Blackwater aquariums and trying to mimic natural environments as much as possible and trying to keep fish all kind of aligned in the same sort of area. So yeah, this sort of stuff is right up my alley.
Yeah.
I don't know what Discord is. I've been asked multiple times. In fact, I've asked multiple times what Discord is, and I think I'm too old to understand it. So no, I don't have a Discord because it just makes no sense to me.
Yes. Think of the old forums.
So why don't we just use a forum?
Yeah.
Or is that the old school thinking?
Logical. Too many different colours in these Discord things.
No, I don't have Discord because I don't really know what they are. I'm sorry. Possibly unlikely that we will get one unless Cam explains it to me over and over and over again what it is, and I finally work it out. But so far, I haven't really worked out what they are. So I'm not sure if we'll go there. If the demand is there and people want us to set one up, I'm sure I can fanny my way through it and try and sort it out. But at this point, probably not because I don't know what they are. Just to be short.
I think if anything, maybe join Discord, but and to just be like a member. I can't see much benefit really at the moment to have our own exclusive thing.
Yeah. I know Cam's got one from the aquarium project, but I'm not too. Just blows my mind. So we'll see how we go. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. But at the moment, probably not. But we'll see how we go. If you have driftwood sinking in your pool, you're too lazy to clean it. I don't. I would just throw it in. That's just me. If it comes with some bugs and all sorts of good stuff, then your fish will eat that as well. And you come with algae, your fish will eat that as well. Although I do believe the theory that algae spores can come in with stuff and pollute your aquarium. If you're setting up a Blackwater tank, I don't think having algae is too big of a deal. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you are worried, just get a scrubbing brush, give it a wash off, and then rinse it off. But, for me, I'd just chuck it in and not care, personally.
A couple of days in the sun as well can help kill that kind of algae. It dries it out easier, and it's easier to scrape away.
Yeah. Are there any detriments to having Blackwater? There's not all fish want to be in Blackwater. Malawi cichlids, for an example, aren't suitable for Blackwater aquariums. A lot of people will say your tank's dirty. I get that a lot when I've set them up at home. My kids have always said, we don't like your dirty tank. It's gross and dirty. To me, it looks natural and beautiful. Your pH can lower quite a bit if you leave it for too long. As your botanicals break down, it will play around with your pH and it will begin to drop it. So sometimes you've got to keep an eye on that. Make sure you've got that under control, particularly if you're using RO water or rainwater or something like that and you're stripping it all out to lower the pH. You've got to keep an eye on that. Not all fish really want to be right down in the 4s. Some absolutely love it, but not all of them do. As your botanicals break down, some people take them out. I leave them in. It can produce
silt,
basically a layer of mold and silt and stuff like that. I like it. I think it's great. I think it continues to build that full-on ecosystem, but some people don't like it. Some people get a little worried about it and want to vacuum it out on a regular basis. That's entirely up to them. There's a few things. Cam thinks they look ugly, but that's his opinion and he's wrong, so that's okay. So there's definitely some downsides. Not all fish are Blackwater suitable. Like I said, Danios, I looked into putting them in there, but they're best in a clear water. That's where they sort of come from, and that kind of takes away from what it is that I'm sort of trying to do. So they don't really fit. So not all fish will fit into that. And there's even some fish, like from my research, carnotches, for example, some times of the year, they're in a really acidic Blackwater Blackwater water base, and then other times of the year they're in a really fast-moving clear water river systems. So like some come in and out on a regular basis. So there's lots to consider when it comes to playing around with it. It's not just because it looks cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
I've-
Making even another one.
Yeah, I've recorded it this morning. I got it nice and early again. Seems like all week it's been early mornings for me, but that's okay. But I wanted to get the lights on before the actual light came out, so I get it because they're quite hard to record. So I got a bit of video for it, so I'll put that together sometime today and chuck it up on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of jazz. So yeah. So I think that might be it, unless we've got some more questions. I'm more than happy to sit here and answer them if there is more question to come out. Got anything else to add, John?
No, I'm all out now.
Cool. Okay, cool. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. Next week, really looking forward to our guest with Chris Lucup. If you've got any questions you want to ask, for us to ask him, please feel free to send them via a PM, and I will see if we can get that involved in the question group for us. Other than that, oh my dirted tanks, a sort of Blackwater, and they have tannins dissolved in the water. Yeah, cool. Yep, that'd work fine. Yeah, a lot of people would do it a tank. Would probably experience that as well. Lower pH with the dirts and the stuff that breaks down into it. So, yeah, plants love dirted tanks as well. Maybe that'll be a topic for another day. Plant substrates, but yeah, not for today. So yeah, all right. Well, have a good one, team. Enjoy your weekend. Happy fish keeping. Catch you later.
Bye, guys.